My name is Aaron. I am 29-year-old. Last month, I overheard a phone call that was never meant for me. It wasn't loud. It wasn't a fight. That's what made it worse. Because when people argue, you know something is wrong. But this sounded normal, calm, controlled, almost routine. And somehow, that made it harder to ignore. I wasn't even trying to listen. I was just walking past the hallway when I heard my dad's voice coming from his room. The door wasn't fully closed, just slightly open. I would have kept walking. I should have kept walking. But then I heard my name. Aaron doesn't need to know. And I stopped. Not slowly, not carefully. My body just locked. Because something about the way he said it didn't feel casual. It felt decided. "She'll sign it," he said. "No hesitation. Just tell her it's paperwork. She never asks questions." For a second, my mind didn't catch up. Paperwork? Sign what? I almost convinced myself it was nothing, until he said, "She has no idea what it's worth." A pause. "And by the time she finds out," another pause, "it'll already be done." Something dropped in my chest. Not panic. Not yet. Just that slow, heavy feeling that something wasn't right. Because deep down, I already knew. He wasn't talking about me. He was talking about my sister. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I had answers, but because I didn't. The next morning felt normal. Too normal. She was in the kitchen, making tea like always, humming softly, completely at ease. And for a moment, I just stood there watching her, because after what I heard, I didn't know how to look at her the same way. "Morning," she smiled. "Morning," I replied. My voice sounded fine, too fine. Dad walked in a few minutes later, same calm face, same steady energy, like nothing had happened. "So, I've got a few papers we need to sort out today." My chest tightened, just slightly, but enough. I looked at her, waiting for her to question it, to hesitate, to ask something, but she didn't. "Okay," she said easily. "What kind of papers?" "Nothing complicated," he replied. "Just standard stuff." And that was it. No suspicion, no second thought, just trust. And that's when it clicked. She never asks questions. It wasn't just something he said, it was something he relied on. That afternoon, everything felt different. Not obvious, just off. The papers were already on the table, neatly placed, waiting. "This just needs your signature," he said, and she leaned in. That's when I noticed it. She wasn't really reading. Her eyes moved across the page, but too quickly, like she trusted him more than the words in front of her. "Do I need to go through it?" she asked. For a second, I thought, this is it. But he shook his head. "No, it's just standard. Nothing important." My chest tightened again, because now I knew, if he was downplaying it, it mattered. I stepped closer, just enough to see, and then I saw it. One word, buried in the document. Property. I looked again, slower this time, making sure. But once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. This wasn't random paperwork. This was legal. Something real. Something tied to ownership. She picked up the pen. Casual. Like this was nothing. And everything slowed down. The pen hovered just above the paper, seconds away. And suddenly, I knew. If I stayed quiet now, there wouldn't be a way to fix it later. "Wait." Both of them looked at me. Silence. "What is that?" I asked. "It's nothing complicated," Dad said quickly. "Just paperwork." "Then let her read it." The room shifted, subtle but real. "I can read it," she said, lowering the pen slightly. Not stopping, but hesitating. "It's unnecessary," he replied. "It's standard." Standard. That word didn't sit right anymore. It says property, I said. This time. He paused. What property? She asked. And that was it. The question he said she'd never ask. The property is under your name, he said. She froze. Under my name? You never told me that. For the first time, his confidence slipped. It wasn't important, he said, but it didn't sound convincing anymore. How much is it worth? Silence. Long enough to feel. It's not about the money. That's when she looked at the document differently, not as paperwork, but as something that belonged to her. You were just going to have me sign this? No emotion, just clarity. He didn't answer. Not really. She set the pen down, slowly. I'm not signing this. And just like that, it stopped. Not loudly, not dramatically, just decided. Later that night, I kept thinking about how close it came, how normal everything looked, right up until it didn't. Because the truth is, the biggest moments in life don't feel big when they happen. They feel normal until they're not. And sometimes, the difference between everything staying the same and everything changing is one question. If this made you pause for even a second, then you already understand. Because some stories aren't just stories, they're reminders. If you like video, please subscribe and share with your loved ones. Thank you.